Well, good morning guys. Today is a little bit of an interesting video. This is going to be something super different. I got a lot of questions in the last couple of videos as to why I don't drive this thing as often as I do, and when I do drive it, why I drive it like such a bitch. I'm not even joking. So obviously there's a few reasons as to why I don't drive this car very often. One of them being the fact that it has a few little overheating issues at the moment. So today I thought I would jump in the car with you guys, chuck the head cam on, which I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So yeah, today let's go for a drive with the Rx7. Rightio, quickly turn the time to annoy some Karens, hey? And by Karens, I mean my girlfriend upstairs. Let's get it out of the garage real quick. Hey guys, so the car is currently warm. We're about to take it for a drive. I actually went for a massive big drive before this. However, one thing led to another and I ended up filming in time lapse. So here's for round 2. Okay guys, so the way that this video came about is a few days ago, I was having a chat to my friends and I was trying to tell them how different it was to drive the rotary over, you know, like the Falcon that I had that I sold for to buy this car. And it was just too hard to explain. The fact that it idles at 2,000 RPM, the fact that when you granny shift it, it's usually around 4.5 to 5,000 RPM. And just like, it's such an interesting and unique experience to drive. You have to actually really drive this car to drive it, I guess. This is probably gonna upset a few people, not gonna lie, because I haven't driven manuals for that long, let's just say that. I got my manual license around about a year ago. I'd never driven a manual car, and the only other manual car I had was the Skyline and then this. And going into a Bridgeport Rx7, I will admit, is a little bit daunting. And it's a lot different. So I guess the best way is to show you guys. Once again, I'm still learning this car, but this right here is my initial and honest thoughts about driving my Rx7 and how it differs from all the other cars that I've ever owned. So I guess let's just start her up and let's go for a bit of a run. Oh, she's a hot one today, boys. So the first thing I'll say, and I will admit to you guys ASAP, is the fact that this thing, you cannot drive it slow. Getting out of my suburb and everything else as well, without annoying Karens and everything else as well, is really horrible. And I'll show you guys what happens if you go too low in the revs. So this is second gear, 2,000 RPM. The first thing I noticed, especially coming from, oh, hello, pretty. The first thing I noticed, especially coming from a regular car to this one here, is the amount of clutch work you have to do just to drive it smoothly. It is really difficult. There's so many areas where you really need to ride the clutch to be able to take off smoothly. A lot of revs are involved and just everything else as well. In comparison to my Skyline, where you just sort of cruise and you can sort of change whenever you want. But yeah, I don't know, you have to really have driven the car for a couple of weeks to 100% get it. And I'll show you what I mean by being able to granny shift it at like any RPM. So it idles at 2,000 and that was a 5,000 RPM shift. It's crazy. Okay guys, so just to start off, and this is one of the biggest things that I noticed, especially when I was just trying to drive it around my suburb, is the fact that you have to drive this thing so aggressively, and I did not expect this. So like, I knew I had to drive it pretty aggressively, but being able to drive with other like traffic and everything else as well, like at the moment I'm going 70, right? And I am borderline in third gear, okay? If I wanted to go to fourth or fifth, like I could happily do in any other one of my cars, it would be too low in the revs and I would be bucking about. This is the lowest I can possibly go, 2,000 RPM. And at this current point in time, it's, and trying to comfortably drive with other traffic in front of you can sometimes get very, very hard. How good does this thing sound though? So this is a little drive I usually take when I wash the car. Every single time I get it out of the garage, I try and take it for at least a little drive. And it gives me a couple of areas where I can get up high in the revs and I can just cruise about. So, and this brings me to my next point. Once again, slow driving, especially in a place where you don't want to make too much noise, is, please don't look at me too long. They're all laughing at me. Oh, goddamn. Whoa, there's so much happening down here at the moment. Oh, God. People are going to think I'm horrid. Stop looking at me, please. Thank you. I am insecure, but also own a Bridgeport Rx7 with a loud exhaust. This is a little bit stupid of me, but I don't know if you guys can see all the looks that the residents are giving me down here. They probably hate me. I do this trip like at least like once a week. Something must be happening down here today. There's a lot of people about. So there's not too many areas where you can really get on this little trip, but one of them is right here. So one thing I will let you guys know as well is, especially one thing that I'm still learning, is I really don't want to engine brake as much as humanly possible. I have heard of a few scary stories where I'm not entirely sure whether it's because of the factory oiling pump system or the fact you have, like, this has only happened to people that are pre-mixed. But that's actually how Loki, one of my friends, actually blew up her RX-7, her 13B that she had. I believe she was pre-mixing or something along those lines, but engine braking destroys these cars. If you guys know how rotary engines work, obviously it injects oil with the fuel, so that way it can lube up the apex seals at the same time. So, oh God, come on, please move. I hate driving this car with traffic. So yeah, it injects fuel, as well as oil in the injectors to lubricate the apex seals. However, when I believe you're pre-mixing, or I don't know whether it's both the oiling pump or just pre-mixing at the same time, it starves the apex seals of the oil. So when she actually blew up her 13B, she was actually just rolling down a hill and engine braking, and it just absolutely destroyed her 13B. Apex seal's gone. So that's one of the things that I'm really trying to look out for, because obviously I do not want to blow up this beautiful Bridgeport build. So yeah, it gets a little bit hairy at sometimes, but that's one thing I've really had to overcome, especially with my Skyline. I know I've been trying to learn how to sort of drive that car as good as I can for the track. So learning how to rev match, downshift, and engine brake and everything else as well. I can't do that in this car, or well, I don't know if I can. So that's another thing to be wary of. That's another thing I'll let you guys know about as well, is the fact that this sequential turbo setup is very unique and very interesting in the way it comes on to boost. I don't know if you guys can hear, there is a very definitive line as to when this thing comes on boost. It's very unique and very interesting. There is about a 500 or so RPM gap where the turbo switches over from the small turbo to the big turbo. I believe it actually switches over with a flapper inside the exhaust itself, or something along those lines. But yeah, it's really weird the way that the whole thing works. I'm not entirely sure. But it makes the second turbo come on super aggressive, because obviously you're in boost, and then you're out of boost, and then you're back in boost with the second big turbo, and it's like, it's so weird. So my first drive today was a little bit cooler, so I was able to do a few more little revs and stuff like that, but at the moment it's pretty hot. We also don't have the V-mount sorted just yet, so... Sounded like it was missing a few cylinders. My God, he's going for it! This is, I think, the biggest thing about this car is the fact that it is so, I really can't put, like, it's so difficult to drive slow. Like, there is cars that I've driven where you don't realize you're speeding. This car here is like, I don't know, it's hard to just drive slowly, and like really hard to just drive slowly because you always have to be so high up in the RPM, and the gearing for it, I don't know, like, as I said before, cruising at 70 in the lowest point of third gear, when normally all my other cars would be comfortable in like fourth or fifth or anything like that. God, it sounds so good though. Pop up and down headlights, pop up and down headlights. So there's probably some things I missed, but let's be honest, that's pretty much everything about this car. Driving it in comparison to my Falcon that like used to be able to do everything it needed to. If you wanted to drive across Brisbane and never get over 2000 RPM, you could, because it idled at like 750 and it changed like well under 2000 RPM. Whereas this thing here goes from 2000 RPM and up. It guzzles fuel, and even though it's not even low, it hates my driveway, but I'll see if I can get up without scraping. Send it. Well, so there you guys have it, my FD Rx7, and one of the biggest things I think I really have to take away from this car is the fact you really have to drive this car. It's one of the reasons why I sold the FG was because, you know, just at one day I jumped into it and, you know, I'd done all this work to it and it was 600 horsepower. I just didn't feel connected to the car. It was fast, it was scary, it was big, it was heavy, and you could drive it so easily. And then this thing here, you just jump in, you know, you have to feel out every gear change. You have to, every single little individual little bit of throttle input drastically changes the way that you drive this car. It's going to take a lot of learning, a lot of different techniques to make sure that I'm keeping it nice and cool, making sure that I can get rid of all that carbon buildup from inside the engine every time I drive the car. It's going to take a lot of getting used to, and I can guarantee you that this car right here is going to better my driving and just increase my love and passion for cars a lot more than I think a lot of other cars would. So I appreciate all you guys that have been sticking around on the channel for this long and have gotten time to appreciate the RX-7. This car is more than a car to me. It is, I don't know, it's my dream car, and it's going to take a lot of getting used to, and it's a lot of getting used to that I'm very much looking forward to. It's fun. I'm still sitting in my car with the camera on. This is very weird.